Jamie Lynn Spears just released her controversial memoir called Things I Should Have Said, where she speaks about growing up with megastar Britney Spears. She also sheds light on some aspects of the conservatorship and the time she was scared for her and Britney's safety. In at number 10, Jamie Lynn's role in the conservatorship. There's been a lot of talk surrounding what Jamie Lynn knew about the conservatorship while it was happening, and did she profit off of it? In the book, she attempted to answer that question. She said that while Britney was being placed under the conservatorship in 2008, she was pregnant at the age of 16, and figuring that out was her sole focus. Jamie Lynn wrote, quote, "I knew things were difficult for Britney, but I was wrapped up in my own life. She now wonders if she should have done more, but she was still so young at the time and hoped that the adults were taking care of the situation." She did reveal that some years into the conservatorship, Jamie Lynn was asked to, quote, "serve as the trustee for her 2 children only in the event that she would not be able to do so herself." This was apparently at Britney's request. However, months later, Jamie Lynn decided to remove herself from that role because she felt it could be a conflict of interest. She added, quote, "I have never participated in the conservatorship as my sister's personal representative or her financial conservator. If I am guilty of anything, it's of enabling the situation to continue by not speaking up earlier in her career." In at number 9, terrifying event. In the book, Jamie Lynn describes a terrifying event with her sister that sheds light on the struggles Britney was facing at that time. She wrote, quote, "One time she said to me, 'Baby, I'm scared,' and took a large knife from the kitchen, pulled me along to my room, and she locked us both inside. She put the weapon in the bedside table drawer and simply repeated, 'I'm scared.' She needed me to sleep beside her." Jamie Lynn describes how scared she was during that incident and claims she experienced panic attacks after that. Britney responded to the shocking allegations on Twitter, denying that event ever happened. Britney wrote, quote, "I've never been around you with a knife or would I ever think to do such." And at number 8, reaction to Britney's court testimony. In June of 2021, we got to hear Britney speak openly for the first time about her life under the conservatorship and how much she hated it. Specifically, we were shocked to hear her trash her entire family, not just her father, making it clear Britney also resented her mother and sister. Jamie Lynn was frustrated while watching it because Britney allowed the public to come after Jamie Lynn and her family, although Jamie Lynn does not feel that Britney was telling the whole story. Jamie Lynn wrote, quote, "At no point did my sister lift the veil on what or who is truly responsible for her challenges." She continued, quote, "When my sister spoke to the world about her feelings regarding my parents' purposeful strategy to garner fame, Britney's impassioned statements included the wrongdoings of everyone involved without any reference to herself. I realized that until she wants help, nothing that I say is going to sway the way she sees herself or her situation." Jamie Lynn says she is happy for Britney's freedom, but it's sad that her sister is now turning against her when Jamie Lynn feels that she did what she could to support Britney. And at number 7, Britney apologizes. Even though the sisters have been feuding on social media right now, Jamie Lynn revealed that Britney actually texted her an apology for the things that she's been posting. Jamie Lynn didn't specify when exactly this text was sent, but obviously it makes a big difference. Apparently this text read, quote, "I know it's not your fault and I'm sorry for being so angry at you. Although I'm your big sister, I need you more than you need me and always have," writing that she is praying for the day that she shares these words with the world. Jamie Lynn then shared that she does not want to be held responsible for things that she had no control over. She wrote, quote, "The years I spent protecting her and being the loyal sister have been in vain. The ambiguity of her conservatorship testimonies and social media postings have left me wondering what it was all for. I miss my sister, but I can't take the blame for things I haven't done." And at number 6, Jamie Lynn's breaking point. In the book, Jamie Lynn shares a scary experience that she had with Britney and her family while they were stuck together in lockdown. Apparently, Britney verbally attacked her while Jamie Lynn was holding her 15-month-old baby. The fight was over something Jamie Lynn deemed trivial. She wrote, quote, "Britney came at me screaming and getting up in my face while I was holding Ivy. Despite my best efforts, Britney continued on the attack, and Maddie had to get in between us to protect her little sister. Maddie is Jamie Lynn's oldest daughter, for reference, who is now 13. Everyone was very shaken, but Lynn Spears, the girl's mother, urged Jamie Lynn to not make Britney more upset. Jamie Lynn was upset that her family was once again putting Britney's feelings ahead of hers and her children's." Halfway, number 5, close relationship growing up. Since the two have such a large age gap, people are curious about the dynamic of their relationship, especially when Jamie Lynn was young. She revealed that Britney was more of a second mother rather than a sister. Jamie Lynn said that Britney helped her mother with everything, bathing, feeding, you name it. Writing, quote, "Mama was grateful to have Britney and acknowledges my sister was much better than she was at the girly things. I grew up feeling like I had 2 mothers." Jamie Lynn also revealed that Britney was the person that encouraged her to pursue acting and helped her become comfortable while performing. Quote, beyond the support and adoration, Britney was simply a terrific sister. For many years, she was good at keeping her persona out of our sisterhood. And at number 4, Left Behind. Once Britney started to gain unbelievable levels of fame, her family was completely consumed with Britney, so much that young Jamie Lynn was completely left behind. She wrote, quote, as a child I realized early on that my sister's career usurped anything else in my family's life. The demands of her career and my parents' focus on her left me feeling if not insignificant, then inconsequential for years. The family's goal at that point was to keep Britney happy and productive at all costs. She also revealed that her parents, specifically their mother, was in love with the fame and loved the newfound attention. Jamie Lynn also revealed that she has not read her mother's 2008 book, Through the Storm, A Real Story of Fame and Family in a Tabloid World, because she witnessed, quote, firsthand the difficulties that Mama and Britney suffered after my sister read it. And at number 3, Sam Lutfi. It's been highlighted a number of times that Britney's relationship with her former manager, Sam Lutfi, coincided with the start of her mental health struggles. Jamie Lynn first met Sam Lutfi through one of her Zoe 101 castmates, and immediately he made her skin crawl. Jamie Lynn remembers that he tried to get their mother involved in a jewelry line, but they felt it was bad news. Weeks later, Sam introduced himself as a friend of Lynn's when he met Britney at a nightclub, with Jamie Lynn alleging, quote, Britney became Sam's target and he painstakingly dismantled her life. Slowly, Britney's previous team members were disappearing, and Sam began to take charge of everything in my sister's world. However, Lutfi denies a lot of these claims. Jamie Lynn also revealed that she thought he encouraged the use of illicit substances, because Britney started to become very erratic while with him. Apparently, Britney was also skittish around Sam, and it was clear that she found him intimidating. One part of the conservatorship was separating Britney from Sam. Since then, a restraining order against him has been in place. Jamie Lynn stated, quote, I have very little doubt that Sam was primarily responsible for complicating my sister's pre-existing emotional trauma. And at number 2, love of Justin Timberlake. Considering how nasty the breakup between Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears was back in the day, it's interesting to learn how much Jamie Lynn and the family loved him while they were together. And Jamie Lynn did not take the breakup very well. She even claimed that Justin was the first positive male role model that she had in her life. She wrote, quote, he wasn't just my sister's boyfriend. Justin was my first example of a kind and generous young man. He and my sister were very happy together for a long time. Justin was always so sweet to me, and his relationship with Britney was the only one in my life that gave me a sense of stability. He and Britney would let her tag along as their third wheel, and Justin always did everything possible to make Jamie Lynn feel included. When Justin and Britney broke up in 2002, Jamie Lynn said she felt deeply affected because, quote, the constancy of their relationship provided the best example of a loving couple I had ever seen. I was completely heartbroken it was over and believed that it was a devastating loss in Britney's life as well. And finally, number 1, Britney's quick marriage. Britney fans know that one of her marriages was a quick wedding in Vegas to her childhood friend, Jason Alexander. This happened shortly after her split from Timberlake. Jamie Lynn describes Britney coming home from the holidays and acting very strange. Britney allegedly met up with Alexander on Christmas Eve before she took the women in the family on a tropical vacation. She wrote, quote, immediately I noticed Britney was being secretive and keeping her distance. She wanted to be anywhere but with us. I was particularly hurt by her shunning. After the family got back from that trip, Britney immediately flew to Vegas with friends, and Jamie Lynn knew that something bad was going to happen. Jamie Lynn even remembers telling Britney not to get married, then Britney rolled her eyes. But as we all know, hours later, Britney would in fact marry him. Jamie Lynn admitted she was embarrassed by the whole fiasco, though to keep up appearances, she pretended at the time it was blown out of proportion. She added that at that point, the chaos of my sister's life was just beginning.
Jamie Lynn Spears is continuing this press run for her new book, but the more she speaks, the more people are calling her out for lying. Now, in her latest move, she has decided to expose some private text messages between her and Britney that she believes will clear her name. To do so, she appeared on the Call Her Daddy podcast hosted by Alex Cooper. And this conversation is going to be a 2-part series, but in the part 1, that is where we really got to hear about this alleged text message, which apparently is also included in her book. Jamie Lynn goes on to say, in a recent text from my sister, she stated herself, I know it's not your fault and I'm sorry for being so angry at you. Although I'm your big sister, I need you more than you need me and always have. And so far though, no one has been able to confirm that this message was in fact from Britney. Also, I don't really think that this moment on the podcast was what Jamie Lynn was hoping for. Instead, people questioned the legitimacy of the text message and called out the host Alex Cooper for giving her a platform at all. One user writes, this whole episode was Jamie victimizing herself, woe is me, a giant pity party for her, and frankly I have no sympathy. I hope you hit her with the hard questions in part 2 because WTF. It's also funny how many things she was asked and just said, I don't know, I don't remember. Okay, sure. with another adding, "Yo, Alexandra Cooper, this looks shameful. I hope you have all the facts and put the pressure on Jamie Lynn instead of playing her conservatorship PR games. We all know they had Britney's phone mirrored and could text whenever, because they recorded and tracked her every move. A text message is not going to be the thing that clears her name, especially because it can be so easily faked. The real interview that people want, though, is from Britney herself." Prior to this interview, in another series of notes app messages to Jamie Lynn that Britney had shared on Twitter, she did say that she loves her unconditionally. However, she then added, "You love me, yet your loyalty is still with the people that hurt me the most. I think the thing that saddens me the most is that when this all happened to me and when I called you from that place, you would take days to respond. I never got to talk to you. You would just text me days later and I was so scared. I needed you, my family, my blood, and your support more than anything. You guys did absolutely nothing until a year ago." And these two really just need to sit down and do an interview together so that maybe the media then can stop playing sides or at least make this matter private. Because Jamie Lynn even had a response to those recent notes app posts from Britney, and all that did was anger people even more. In an Instagram story, Jamie Lynn tags her sister and writes, "Britney, just call me. I have attempted many times to speak to you directly and handle this privately like sisters should, but you still choose to do everything on a public platform. In the meantime, please stop continuing the narrative that I haven't been there for you or that I'm making things up. I'm happy to share how many times I've reached out to you, supported you, and tried to help you. This is embarrassing and has to stop. Love you." This situation, though, is so incredibly messy. You see, Britney needs to post publicly because she's probably traumatized from never getting to speak about her situation like this ever before. However, every time that she mentions Jamie Lynn Spears, Jamie Lynn then needs to respond, otherwise she will continue to receive threats from Britney's fans. And before you get your tidy whities all up in a bunch, I'm not siding with either of them. I'm happy that Britney Spears is free, but I just wish this would all be handled privately, although it doesn't seem like that is even a possibility even more. Britney needs to speak and Jamie Lynn needs to sell her book. So round and round the story will go, and it's just going to be more of she said, she said. Jamie Lynn also needs to stop telling Britney to not share things publicly and then threaten to share things publicly. That's called gaslighting. On top of all of this, former Zoe 101 star Alexa Nicholas chimed in on the situation and said that she was surprised to see Jamie Lynn lying up a storm in her new book. Again, in another series of notes app letters, Alexa took to her Instagram to expose Jamie Lynn. She writes, "I recently thought we were fine after she tried to use me in her Zoe 101 music video to make herself look better after I finally came out about what happened to me while on set / being left out once again during the reunion reboot ploy. To be honest, it took her a while. I'm guessing the pressure from others made her address the issue." She then explains how she declined her offer, was happy to get an apology from her, and then forgave Jamie Lynn. She then goes on to say that she unfollowed Jamie Lynn because the Britney Spears situation was deeply saddening and once again felt like Jamie was being fake. Then she claimed that Jamie Lynn had reached out to see if she could actually send her a gift, adding, "Typical move for a bully to play the victim card / gaslight others while straight up lying. I responded to her and said, please do not send me anything and please stop contacting me. She never addressed anything that she mentioned in the book to me personally because she knows everything she is saying is a total lie, and I would have called her out on that. One-on-one, it's sad to see someone not change after all of these years." According to a new report, Britney Spears has issued a cease and desist letter to her sister Jamie Lynn over this new book called Things I Should Have Said. Britney is claiming that she will even sue her own sister if she continues to make derogatory statements about her while pushing this new book. Her lawyer Matthew Rosengard is claiming that the memoir from Jamie Lynn was ill-timed and contains several misleading or outrageous claims. That being said, Britney admitted that she has not actually read the book. Instead, she just believes that her sister is exploiting her for monetary gain. I'm guessing that's what her inner circle is telling her right now. Yet, despite not even knowing what's inside of the book, Rosengart writes in his letter, "Publicly airing false or fantastical grievances is wrong, especially when designed to sell books. It is also potentially unlawful and defamatory." He then adds, "You recently reportedly stated that the book was not about her. She takes you at your word, and we therefore demand that you cease and desist from referencing Britney derogatorily during your promotional campaign. If you fail to do so or defame her, Britney will be forced to consider and take all appropriate legal action." Britney and her sister have been basically going back and forth over social media following Jamie's recent appearance on Good Morning America to promote the new book. The book is Jamie's attempt to take control of her own narrative and share her life story. This includes her young daughter's near fatal accident in 2017, 2016, her relationship with Britney, and more importantly, how her family dynamic changed when Britney became famous. I watched the Call Her Daddy podcast with Jamie Lynn, and there were a lot of really eye-opening moments in that interview. Her father was essentially never around, yet whenever something needed to be done, he was the only one who could make the decisions. She recounts begging her mother to stand up for her, but she never did. She would just call Jamie and he would make the final decision on what the Spears family was going to do. However, when Britney started to make more money as an entertainer, Jamie Lynn claimed that Britney actually told her mom that she would buy her a house if she got a divorce, and she did just that. Except despite the divorce, Jamie still kept coming around. Now imagine being a kid and seeing your big sister bribing your mother with a house so that she'll leave your father. And even if Jamie comes back, he now has to live in a house that was paid for by his daughter. Like, the reason why he wanted to hold on to that conservatorship for so long finally makes sense. You're looking at an emasculated man who saw his own daughter break up his marriage, and then when Britney started to burn out from performing so much, he used that as a moment to take back control. This really shows you just how much money can affect that family dynamic. Now, some of the derogatory statements that Britney is probably referring to would be the parts in the book where Jamie Lynn describes Britney's past behavior as becoming both erratic, paranoid, and spiraling. In the podcast, she said that her sister started changing in 2002, and then she described an incident where Britney allegedly locked herself in a room with a knife and told Jamie Lynn that she was scared. She goes on to say, "This was a brilliant young woman who was going through a hard time, and if she couldn't stand up herself, then somebody should have. I wasn't an adult then. I couldn't, but somebody should have said, stop the presses, give this girl a minute." And in a recent post by Britney Spears, she went off again on Jamie Lynn and her mother, saying, "I flew home to Jamie Lynn on the couch watching her TV shows right after Justin and I broke up. I was a ghost there. I had worked my whole life and I didn't know how to be served by mama. Sit there and get served the chocolate milkshakes with the perfectly crushed ice with the secretly chunky sugar. Meanwhile, Jamie Lynn is 12. She indulges with the TV for hours, then goes to lay out on a raft at the pool. I'm in shock because this was never my life. Justin's family was all I knew for many years. Things were different now, and Jamie Lynn had a new Nickelodeon show. All I remember saying was, damn, how the hell does a 12-year-old land a Nickelodeon show? Well, I never got my iced chocolate drink. I mean, yeah, I'm grown up, right? But then maybe I might need a little support. It was a People magazine cover. The People show up, and as Jamie Lynn says, I was scared. F yeah. My mama was on pain medication and could barely hold a conversation in the house because her and my dad split and she was more messed up than anything. I remember her sitting on the floor in a conversation and she never got up. And I'm sorry, Jamie Lynn, I wasn't strong enough to do what should have been done. Slapped you and mama right across your effing faces. Yes, because nothing fixes your problems quite like hitting a 12-year-old. That recent rebuttal from Britney may have been the turning point for some of her own supporters. One person writes, what? What exactly was she expecting a 12-year-old to do about her breakup? With another adding, your legions of superfans have misled you to believe you are never wrong. This is reckless. And she's not wrong. As I said in my last video, this all seems like miscommunication after miscommunication. What we need are these two to just sit down in person and work this all out. The second part of the Jamie Lynn Spears episode on Call Her Daddy has aired, and in the podcast, Jamie Lynn revealed more private text messages that she had sent to both Britney and her boyfriend. The reason she says that she even had to send those text messages to Britney's boyfriend, though, was due to Britney blocking her on and off. You see, she would respond occasionally, but never responded to this string of text messages sent back in 2020, where Jamie claims was her attempt at trying to help Britney get out of this conservatorship. She explained that while they were in Hawaii together in 2016, it was just them and the kids, as well as Britney's security and her assistant. She said that Britney had expressed to her that she was not happy with her situation, so Jamie Lynn said that she did a bit of digging and called some lawyers and then shared that information with Britney. Information that she felt would be useful to shut the conservatorship down. At the time, Britney was just being represented by Sam Ingham, who was just her court-appointed attorney. In trying to find her new legal representation, Jamie Lynn said that she was putting herself on the line because she was sharing details that people would know came from her. In fact, she added that, in doing so, she spoke about it and she said she wanted to do it, so we gave all these facts to her lawyer, and those same facts were regurgitated to me from the other side of the conservatorship, so I know he immediately went and told them what I said. It was shut down immediately. Her whole thing was that Britney's current legal legal representation was doing nothing for her, and so she wanted her to get a new lawyer, but unfortunately Sam wasn't just going to let that happen. He was content with the publicity that he was receiving, being the one who was representing Britney despite not fulfilling her wishes to end the conservatorship. In addition to this, she says that she and her husband Jamie Watson had spoken with judges and lawyers who told them that Britney could dissolve her conservatorship if she took residence in a state outside of California for 6 months. She went on to say in the interview, "I'm not a lawyer, but from what I was told, if you have a residence in another state, you can live there for 6 months and take residence there, and if you don't have a conservatorship in that state, then it makes it to where you can live there and the conservatorship, it can go away. I told my sister, why don't you come live in Louisiana for 6 months, and guess what? It will just dissolve itself." Now, Alex Cooper, doing her job as an interviewer, didn't just take Jamie on her word, she asked for proof. And so Jamie Lynn pulled up a series of text messages that she had sent to Britney on November 11th, 2020. In the text she says, "Mom and her lawyers have been in constant contact with Sam Ingham about everything, and I first found that strange since you and Mom are not even speaking. I did not understand why Mom would be involving herself or inserting her opinion to your lawyer, especially if you did not ask her to. I quickly realized Mom's focus has been on Dad and her personal attack on him instead of on you and what you need. I think she has your lawyer fighting more for her agenda than yours, and it's only delayed your progress and cost you more money. If Sam tries to deny working with Mom's lawyer or is constant contact with Mom, then we can all get on the phone and I'll be sure he admits the truth, because I have read the messages and heard the conversations. He also made so many mistakes at this last court date, which is why you were denied once again. I don't know if he did such a bad job on purpose, but it's strange that a lawyer would leave so many holes in his petition, which made it an easy denial. He is trying to create an ongoing fight with someone who isn't trying to fight, and it's clear Sam loves the attention he's getting from your public legal battle, and he goes out of his way to keep his false narrative going so that he can continue to put on a show in the courtroom to get all the press he wants from your court dates. And he absolutely loves all the attention he gets from the Free Britney fans. He thinks it's his fan club now, which is so weird to me. Also, I will never forget that time we were in Hawaii and I was trying to help you figure out your conservatorship situation, and you called Sam for his help. And he sat there and listened to us, but soon as we hung up, he immediately called Dad and said that I needed to be watched because I was trying to take down the conservatorship. He turned on you in a second, which is why I never trusted him." The text message continues with Jamie claiming that her father has wanted to resign from the conservatorship, but that the lawyers would not allow him to speak directly with Britney. She says in the last part of the text message, "I actually spoke to Dad and he is more than willing to agree to drop all this extra legal crap, extra lawyers, and extra court dates that they keep creating only for you to keep getting denied and letting you down each time. If you're willing to speak with him and start the actual legal process of getting what you want, then Dad is on board with that as well. I have nothing to gain or lose in this situation, no matter what happens with the conservatorship, but I am sick of seeing this whole thing just keep going in circles. So I figured I should see what I could do to help. I am upset that it's led to me not speaking to Mom, but I think it's the right thing to do for now, so that you know everything and aren't constantly being fed bullshit. I have no reason to send this to you other than I love you and I'm trying to be helpful. I'm here if you need anything. Love you." Britney Spears fans are absolutely furious about the latest Jamie Lynn interview on the Call Her Daddy podcast with host Alex Cooper. So mad in fact that they are now canceling her and trying to get Spotify to remove the show from the platform. Even before the first episode aired, people were already upset with the podcast and the teaser that they had posted for it. In the clip, Alex Cooper asked Jamie Lynn to read off a text message exchange between her and her sister that supposedly was going to be the thing that cleared her name from having any involvement in the conservatorship. At that point, Jamie Lynn then takes out her phone, and right before she's about to read off the text messages, the clip cuts off. One user writes, "I repeat, any platform giving Jamie Lynn Spears a platform to manipulate the situation is part of the problem. Yuck." With another adding, "The fact that you even gave her airtime on your podcast, won't be listening to you anymore. This is just sad, shaking my head." Then once the first episode had aired, Britney fans called the interview a puff piece and tried to get the hashtag of boycott Call Her Daddy trending on Twitter. Hoping to deter anyone from listening to the show. One user even listed their grievances with what was going on and said, 1. The whole family is complicit. 2. Lou is the mastermind. 3. They all need life in prison. 4. Judges need overseeing. 5. Netflix needs to remove Jamie Lynn from Sweet Magnolia. 6. Spotify needs to cancel Call Her Daddy contract. She is not worth that money. Now recently, Britney's lawyer Matthew Rosegard issued a cease and desist letter to her sister Jamie Lynn over this new book called Things I Should Have Said. Britney is claiming that she will even sue her own sister if she continues to make derogatory statements about her while pushing this new book. Rosengart writes in his letter, "Publicly airing false or fantastical grievances is wrong, especially when designed to sell books. It is also potentially unlawful and defamatory. He then adds, "You recently reportedly stated that the book was not about her. She takes you at your word, and we therefore demand that you cease and desist from referencing Britney derogatorily during your promotional campaign. If you fail to do so or defame her, Britney will be forced to consider and take all appropriate legal action." And according to a recent report, Jamie Lynn has actually responded to the cease and desist letter. Jamie Lynn's lawyer Brian J. Friedman responded with a letter as well and said that Britney's most recent post about Jamie Lynn and her mother was vile. He goes on to say, "As an initial matter, in your letter you state that Britney is going to take the high road. However, just today your client posted vile statements on social media concerning Jamie Lynn." He then goes on to add, "Jamie Lynn hopes that there will be no further postings or inflammatory letters being sent to the media. Beyond telling the truth and denying the allegations against her as a mother, Jamie Lynn needs to protect her child and cannot continue to be subjected to death threats and other posting insinuating physical violence against her and her family. Jamie Lynn supports Britney, and as always, she hopes she can get the healing, peace, and freedom she rightfully deserves." He also said that it was ridiculous for Rosengard to say that he didn't even read Jamie Lynn's book before sending the cease and desist letter. He also maintains that if he had read the book, then he would have seen that Jamie Lynn only ever characterizes her sister as being kind, supportive, and a protective sister. He then added that it was disappointing to see the cease and desist letter plastered all over the media, making it much harder to resolve a dispute and try to repair this clearly damaged relationship. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this though, because that's all the time we have for today. So stay classy, and I'll see you in the next one.